The NHL is back and the hockey card market is flourishing. On today's show, we'll recap the first day in the NHL season and see who's hot out of the gate in the card world. And Series 1 released its checklist yesterday. Anthony and I will be ranking the top young guns from the upcoming set. This is episode 23 of the Hockey Card Haven podcast. Let's dive in. Hello and welcome. This is the Hockey Card Haven podcast with myself, Mike Distefano, and Anthony Santini, here to dive deep into the world of hockey card collecting, flipping, and investing. The NHL season kicked off yesterday, and boy, oh boy, did we ever get treated to a couple of big-time games, and especially from Anthony's biggest supporter, or I guess you're his biggest supporter, rather, your boy on top of your head, Mr. Dylan Guenther. 2-goal performance, and his market is scorching hot right now.
Oh, man. Hey, this was the day I've been waiting for so long. I've probably been collecting this guy for the past, 2 years maybe. Up and down in the minors, always addressed as one of the best goal scorers to come up to be drafted in his draft class. And finally last night, dude, he looked good, man. Just steady with the puck. And I actually enjoyed watching that Utah game. Even watching Clayton Keller, there's some really talented players on that team, but Dylan Guenther was for sure the standout. Unfortunately, I can't wear this on my head the entire pod. Obviously, there are rules. We are a established podcast over here, but
Try to be a professional show. We're trying.
you know what? We'll take what I was given the first 2 minutes. I had a 2-minute window to wear it on top of my head. But yeah, go pick up your Dylan Guenther youngins, because I still think, even though his prices have almost doubled, I still think they're gonna do well.
Well, it's just that's the stock market, right? The hockey card stock market. It's up, it's down, and everything. The market is moving and shaking early on. Dylan Guenther is one of the hottest cards to grab right now. You just mentioned the market has gone up quite a bit. He was a card that you were picking up for $10 to $15 all summer long, and now you look on Card Ladder, you look on eBay sales. You can't find a card under $20. That's just what happens when guys start to perform, especially early on. People get giddy, people get FOMO, and hype drives the hobby. And there's a lot of hype around the Utah Hockey Club, who looked pretty good last night with a 5-2 win over the Chicago Blackhawks. And he seems to be one of the guys who might be filling the net quite often. Jordan Kyrou is another player too, off of night one, who had a big time game in the afternoon, couple of goals for himself for the St. Louis Blues. I think this kid's going to score like 40 goals this year. Jordan Kyrou is someone that I'm pretty high on. I think that he was a slept on prospect, I guess, last year. Not prospect, but young player. I think his PSA 10s were like $70 for PSA 10. Super cheap for a guy who I think has the ability to score 40 goals this year, 35 to 40 goals. And I think that, his card market's going to kind of start to tick back up. So if we're talking about, who's trending up, who's hot right now, it's Dylan Guenther and Jordan Kyrou after day one in the NHL. Who's trending down? Probably Jonas Korpisalo. Not a good outing for him and your Boston Bruins, buddy.
I was watching that game too, and I was looking. There's probably 4 or 5 minutes left in the game. I'm looking at a 6-2 scoreboard, and then out of nowhere, 2 goals popped by for the Bruins. I was thinking, maybe they could come back. But my honest opinion, I'm biased. The Bruins did not look good yesterday. They struggled in the offensive zone. They had a late power play, which that penalty that they were given, or I guess the penalty against them, if you want to say,
the slash on the ref.
No, that was the Max Jones a little earlier. This was I forget the player that got on Florida. I believe he's new. He also scored, but not Boquist. It was Baja Stan something, whatever it was. But they got the late penalty, and I was kind of watching that power play, and they just couldn't create anything. Had a lot of trouble entering the zone too. It looked like even Pasternak was struggling getting into this Florida zone. But Florida's a really good team. And I know that Swayman was just brewing on that bench, waiting to get back in his net. He's going to play a lot of games this year. I'm talking 60 plus. He might get the Hellebuck treatment after Korpisalo's performance, because that was just terrible.
Can he handle that? That's the question. It's not whether or not he'll have to play that, but can he physically handle playing 60 games in a season. I think his career high is what, like 43, something like that.
I think probably like 41,
Oh,
42,
we can
probably a
easily
great
easily
split. Yeah, take a look.
easily Googleable uh statistic that we could find here, so we're not completely talking out our ass here. But
Even
yeah,
even
his career high is 44 games played
wow,
last year, 44 games.
pretty good. That's pretty good considering that they still had
Well,
Allmark in the net too.
that's like
And
50-50.
and he played a lot. Yeah, but Allmark was kinda like the starter. Swayman was always viewed as the backup until
I
they reached
get it. I
playoffs.
get it.
But
But
for what he's getting paid and all that contract situation and that contract mess, he better be ready to go 60 because the Bruins are gonna need him. If this Bruins team is gonna make the playoffs in the very tough Atlantic division, there's a lot of teams knocking on the door too. Montreal, Ottawa, Buffalo, 3 teams that I don't think will make the playoffs, but do have playoff aspirations in the next 2, 3 years. Buffalo and Ottawa, they've been waiting for so long, and obviously Montreal, we never know, young players that could have some growing to be done this year. I think there's a lot of opportunity in the Atlantic, and
yeah.
if the Bruins can't pick it up, they're in big trouble.
Well, there's definitely a lot of hobby relevance with those guys. I actually do like the Ottawa Senators to make the playoffs of
Ooh,
those teams. I do,
wow.
and Shane Pinto's been a guy who I've been high on. And he's someone whose card market actually started trending upward. Scored a couple of goals in the final preseason game, couple of beauties too, I might add. And I saw his market was starting to trend back upward, which is very nice for someone who invested in him over the course of the summer. But I think that there's a lot of, a lot of hobby stories within the Atlantic, that's for sure. Like Slavkovsky is going to continue to ascend. I think Cole Caulfield is a bit of a rebound candidate. Obviously, Lane Hudson. We're going to talk about this in a minute, but Lane Hudson is going to be part of the Series One Young Guns list. We're going to break down the checklist in a moment, see who the young guns are. I think he's going to have a lot of hobby relevancy, and then obviously there's a couple of studs: Jake Sanderson, Tim Stutzla. And obviously, I believe that Shane Pinto is going to be a big time hobby stud this year for the Ottawa Senators, who also just signed Linus Ullmark, by the way, 4-year deal for Linus Ullmark. Big extension for him coming in this morning. Before we get into the Young Guns Series 1 Young Guns announcement for Series 1, which comes out next week, by the way. And it sounds like we're finally like catching up because if I'm not mistaken, like the last couple of years, this has been a November release, like just ahead of Expo, and now finally we're getting a Series One release in mid October. So it looks like Upper Deck finally catching up with things here. So we'll go over some of the top young guns, well, all of the top young guns really, and I've got a pyramid chart to rank basically who the big chases are, the secondary chases, and your kind of tertiary chases within the set, in my opinion, who I would be at least chasing. So we'll get to that in just a moment. But Anthony, we are officially just 1 month away from Expo. A month today, we'll be walking through those doors at the Toronto Sport Card Expo, and it's also considered hockey card heaven. It's kind of where we got our name from, Hockey Card Haven. That is the true Hockey Card Haven. Realistically, is the Toronto Sport Card Expo. And we're a month out, and I'm curious, as someone who's been there a few times, and you take it pretty seriously. I mean, we both do. Lots of people do. Any tips and tricks you have for the people who are 1 month out? Anything you're doing to prepare in terms of whether you're looking to buy, looking to sell some things, looking to liquidate for some cash flow, or you're looking to buy up some inventory to make some deals? Like, how are you preparing for Expo 1 month out?
I think the number one thing that I always tell my buddies, even people that just come by the show to visit or see, I tell all my friends, like for 20 bucks, 15 bucks, whatever the entry fee is on the day, you have to come see this expo because even if you don't like sports cards, the memorabilia, the people that are there, just the attraction of it all, it really is hockey card heaven. So I'd say the biggest tip would just be look at your own collection if you do have one, look at what your budget is, and kind of start establishing where you want to grow your collection in comparison to what your budget is, how much you want to spend, how much you want to collect, what do you want to buy, who are you looking for, what sport are you looking for? Because so many people just kind of wake up the Friday, head over to the expo, pack a lunch, or maybe not even pack a lunch, and show up, and they spend all their money all at the first table. And it's kind of like, well, there goes, my spending money for the
Yeah.
whole weekend.
What am I gonna do for the remainder of the day? Yeah.
So my biggest tip now is to just prepare so that that doesn't happen to you. Take a look at your collection, see what you have, see what you're missing, see what you want to get. Take a look at your bank account, take a look at your
Yeah.
budget, see what you want to spend, see what you don't want to spend, and then
Well,
kind of find that happy medium.
yeah, and take a look at what the market is right now. Now I know the
Yeah,
market's going to change within a month, but like leading up to it, like know what the prices you want, the cards you want or need to get, whether you're collecting, trying to put together a set, or you're looking for PC cards, like know what your limit is too, right? So you're not wasting your time asking every single dealer, what the price is, and then it's all over the place and you don't know what to do. Like if a price, if you want to pay a certain price, let's say you're looking to buy, I don't know, throw out a random card like a Jordan Kyrou Young Guns, right, or Dylan
sure.
Guenther Young Guns. Okay, so right now they're going for about $20, right? Today they're $20 after a big day. If you're walking around and you're asking people, oh, how much is a Gunther, and people are like $30, $40, just keep it moving. Keep it moving, right?
Hey,
You're not paying $30, $40 for, but market price is 20. I'm not saying it's not going to be that eventually, but
hey,
if you're looking to flip, you can't pay 40 if it's
yeah,
going to just
yeah,
get to $40.
yeah,
So you got to pay market price, maybe even a little below it, and try and get it for 15 if market price is 20. That's all I'm saying is know the value of your cards and know the value of the cards you're looking for as well, so that you can, just kind of it just makes things a lot more efficient for you while you're going about your business on that day. So, it is important, I think, to do research ahead of the show to know a little bit of the market, know what you want to get and how much those cards are worth that you want to get. But also, if you're bringing your own stuff, know the value of your cards too. There's nothing more annoying as somebody who's a dealer who sets up, and those are very busy days. You have lots of people coming up to your table. You don't have as much time as you do at a local show to like sit out and price out your cards. So it is nice that if you are bringing cards to sell or to trade, have your prices known. And whether it's writing it on like I do this all the time, right? I'm notorious for it. That one for some reason did not have one, but like I'll have my
need the
stickers on
king of the
every single
sticker.
card.
Yep,
Yeah, like I got the sticker on it. It's an Arbor Jack guy, PSA 10 UD canvas,
nice,
Young Guns canvas. $60, by the way, which is an absolute steal.
pretty good.
This was an expensive card back in the day. I graded it myself, and his market kind of tanked. But hey, if he gets into a fight on night one, who knows what happens with that bad boy tonight, taking on the Maple Leafs. But those are a couple of ways I would say over the next month. Spend some time, get yourself prepared for the Sport Card Expo. The more preparation and work you put in beforehand, the easier the day will be once you get there. And you can be efficient with your time, which you need, especially if you're only going
Oh
for
yeah.
one day, right? If you're going for just a day, it's tough to make it through the entire expo in one day. You do usually need a couple of days, but if you have done this pre-work ahead of time, it'll at least give you some more time on your hands. Any other tips or tricks that you think is worth telling the people 1 month out?
Mm, I'd probably say just know what your availability is gonna be on that weekend too, for those of you that need to call in sick to work
Oh
or
yeah,
need to, let
book
your
it off.
boss know. Yeah,
Book it
let
off.
your boss know what's happening. Let them know now. Say, I'm looking to have the Friday off, or I'm looking to, whatever it is, the rules at your particular,
Yeah.
workplace, but everyone has different rules. I know 2 weeks in advance, whatever it might be. I know when I was working, it was always 2 weeks in advance. So yeah, let your boss know. I mean, if you're going to be there on the Friday, let them know, because you don't want to run into an issue on the Tuesday where you're like, oh shoot, I forgot to let my boss know. I forgot to book the day off. I forgot to this and that, because you do not want to miss a day of the expo. It's the best time of the year. And arguably, I think the November show is the best because it's
Yeah.
right smack in the middle of the start of what's happening in the season. Players are rising. You don't really see too much players starting to tank, but a good healthy start to the market for sure at the November show.
Let me just make sure. I believe it's November 8th to what, the
It's
11th?
November 7th, which is the Thursday.
Thursday.
do the
to the
Sunday.
to
And
the Sunday. Yeah.
the Thursday show is actually, I believe, don't quote me on this, is 4 to 8 p.m.
Yeah.
And it's the trade. Do they call it a trade show or do they call it
No,
a preview night?
preview night. Yeah, they call it preview night. I don't
Which I really
know why.
recommend.
Well,
Recommend the preview night. It was a lot of fun last year.
you get in there early, right? You get in there early and you try and snipe the good cards and the good finds. Like that's I guess one thing that we could say is try and make it out to the preview night on Thursday. It's a small window, 4 to 8, but yeah, it gives you a chance to see all the cards and you get kind of first pick of the litter, right? So the early bird gets the worm, as they say, if you make it out there on Thursday. You might have seen me sipping on this. I don't know if, yeah, I guess we'll say we're not sponsored by them, but nice little Tim Hortons coffee here. It's actually a tea. I don't drink coffee. Fun fact. But
Oh, I
I
didn't know
did
that.
before the show go get myself a tea and got myself a pack of Timmy's cards, buddy,
Hey,
because
there we
Tim
go.
Hortons hockey cards are back. And I was talking about this the other day. I'm going to open up this pack here live on the show. I was talking about it the other day, how I believe that like Tim Hortons, when the cards drop, that's what almost like gets me excited for hockey season because I know it's right around the corner. It's basically here and well, it is now. Came out on Monday, and I've already ripped like 3 or 4 packs. I guess a pack a day. What are we on?
Nice.
Wednesday. So Monday, Tuesday, went 3 packs now. And let's see what we can get. It's the 10th anniversary of Tim Hortons hockey cards. And bam,
Ooh,
frozen. What was it called? Frozen Hot Shots of Nikita Kucherov. So there's the hit.
yeah.
Frozen Hot Shots, Nikita Kucherov, Elias Sorokin, and then Mace McTavish was the other card. So there's the pack of Timmy's hockey cards that
Nice.
you can pick up. It's $1.50 a pack with a purchase of any hot beverage. And again, we're not sponsored by Timmy's. I would love to reach out to us if anyone's listening from the company. But it is always a fun little rip and a cheap rip for us hockey card collectors. So enjoy your Tim's release. And with that, Anthony, I want to get right into what the big discussion today, because yesterday we were just chatting and we're like, all right, what are we going to talk about? You know, what's going on in the hobby? And then all of a sudden, Upper Deck releases their Series 1 checklist. And that means we finally get to know who the young guns are going to be in Series 1. We had a pretty good idea based on, who was held out of extended, who was going to be in it. We knew that it wasn't going to be Macklin Celebrini or Matvey Michkov or any of the guys who have yet to play an NHL game, because those guys are always set for Series 2. So that being said, we know who is going to be in Series 1, and we have decided to go ahead and do a little prospect pyramid, and essentially power ranking the top prospects that are in Series 1, which again releases next week. I think next Wednesday we'll probably do more of a full breakdown of the product. But these are the top young guns, which is clearly the main chase of Series 1 flagship every year. And this is what we're looking at in terms of who the top young guns truly are. So this is what we're looking at. Cutter Gauthier is probably the top chase, in my opinion. I've got Cutter Gauthier just a step ahead of these other two as the top chase, but definitely in the chase category. Logan Stankoven, I think, is also in the chase category there. And Lane Hudson as well from the Montreal Canadiens. In that next little secondary chase group, I've got the Rempire State Building, Matt Rempe. I've got Brennan Othman, Joshua Waugh of the Montreal Canadiens, Josh Doan, who played last night for the Utah Hockey Club, Jesper Wallstedt, really talented young goaltender for the Minnesota Wild, and then Maverick Bourque, who lit it up in the AHL last year, really talented forward, young players now in the NHL with the Dallas Stars. So I really like Maverick Bourque as well. In the next kind of tertiary category of guys, I think Bradley Nadeau of the Carolina Hurricanes will be a not badly. That's badly written by me. Bradley Nadeau, Liam Ogren, Nikita Chibrikov, who's getting a shot in the Winnipeg top six to start the year. Brad Lambert, who was a top prospect once upon a time. Logan Mailloux of the Montreal Canadiens. Frank Nazar of the Chicago Blackhawks. Olin Zellweger, a talented defenseman, offensive defenseman for the Anaheim Ducks, played for Team Canada at the World Juniors. And Gavin Brindley, put up a bunch of points in the NCAA with Michigan the last couple of years. He's with the Columbus Blue Jackets. And then if you everyone else who was not named among these guys, I would say are considered more the commons. Akil Thomas was named among them, and a bunch of other guys. But this is pretty much the group that I'm looking at here, Anthony, and the ones that it will put a smile on your face if you pull them when you're ripping into your box of Series 1, or you're searching through the value bins, or your Series 1 bins at the expo or at the show, or whatever show you're going to be going to in the next couple of weeks. Your thoughts on my list, I guess, before we move on, and you can tell me, where you disagree, where you agree, and we can kind of break it down.
Yeah, I mean, I think you did a pretty good job with the top two categories. There's a couple players that I would swap around. I think Cutter Gauthier is a safe bet to have as the number one chase in this product, but you never know. I think Lane Hutson could squeak ahead because we know how crazy the Montreal market is. And even with Logan Stankoven, too, how well he might play this year, could win Rookie of the Year. Only played 24 regular season games last year, so he is eligible to win Rookie of the Year, which will be interesting for his young guns. So for those three, I definitely agree. Brennan Othman, player that stands out, really good prospect for the New York Rangers. Josh Doan, really popular for Utah, had that hat trick last year that no hockey fan will forget if you were watching that game. But I think the biggest change to this list would probably be Zellweger. I think I'd probably put him in one more tier up. I think he's going to be a
Yeah.
pretty popular offensive defenseman, but there is an argument to be made that defensemen don't really have the craziest value. I know that's kind of contradicting my statement about Lane Hutson, but we just know how crazy the Montreal market is, so that kind of defends it. But Zellweger is a great Canadian defenseman.
He is, and he's had a really good career in the WHL. I'm just not sure it's really going to translate into NHL success per se, especially not right away. And I think when it comes to defensemen, like ultimately, you're either like there's such a large gap in between collectability and in D-men. Like you got your Brock Fabers, you got your Quinn Hughes, your Cale Makars, who are highly collectible, but then it's a big fall off from there to get to like kind of there's no like middle tier, I guess, when it comes to defensemen. Like it's either you're either a top guy, a chase who is quite expensive and has a market, or it just really falls off and you're looking at like a couple of bucks, $5 usually for a young guns. Like there's just not a large section of defensemen who are considered like mid-level chases or have a mid-level market. Like how many defensemen are really going in that, $15 to $30 range, $15 to $20 range? There's just not a lot of them. Most are either, above 20 or under 10. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
If we're talking raw young guns, that is, and Canadian funds is kind of what we're talking about here. That's kind of why I had Zellweger. Like 3 years from now, would you be shocked if Zellweger's, sub $10 as a young gun?
Maybe. I mean, I have them a little higher, probably $20 range. That Faber treatment, I feel, but that just kind of
Really,
goes.
you've got Zellweger in the Faber category.
I think so. Watching him for Team
Wow.
Canada, he was really good. But I know where you're coming from. Like that $10 range will probably be where he finds himself when his market really cools down.
He's small, isn't he? Olin Zellweger, like
I
I'm
think he's
pretty
like
sure
5'10".
like 5'9", 180 pounds. Like he's small for a
Yeah.
defenseman, man. Like that's my concern. He played 26 games in the NHL last year, put up 9 points. So, he did show that he could score a little bit, had 37 points in 44 games in the American League. So he was putting up some offense. I don't know. I just he had 22 goals in 32 games for Kamloops the year before in the dub, his final year in the dub. Like he's very talented. Like there's no ifs, ands, or buts about that. It's just whether or not it's going to translate to the NHL level. And will he be a guy who can get you 40 to 50 points every year? We'll
Yeah.
see. We'll see what happens. But maybe that means that he's someone who is worth buying pretty quickly
Yeah.
early on. If he does come out and he's a cheaper young gun, he's on the cheaper end of things. Like if I were to rip open a case and then I'm sitting here and I'm pricing out my young guns, like these are like the price tiers that I would be looking at on opening day, on release day, and you could come to my table and you would probably find an Olin Zellweger for rather cheap. Like I'd probably stick a $5 sticker on it on
Yeah.
opening day, and you would be say to yourself, "Wow, that seems like a good price," and pick it up. And there's many other people that would maybe do the same thing, and maybe it's opposite where Maverick Bork, people don't really feel like Bork is going to turn into anything. I've got a $15 price tag on it for opening day. People are like, nah, I'm not buying that. That's overpriced. But Zellweger at 5, that's a good price. That's a good pickup.
Yep. No, for sure. I think that's fair too. Even like the players that you didn't name, and even to go off a little bit and look at everyone else, as you called it, there's a lot of players that I think could find themselves in that $5-10 range where it
Yeah.
really feels expensive at the start. But there's some really good players. And when you really look at it every year, it's year after year. You know what? Maybe this isn't as bad as a checklist, but then as time slowly pans out, you start to realize, these guys are kind of just dollar young gun guys. And the guys that I really pinpointed from your non-list of everyone else was so Ethan Del Mastro for Chicago. Everyone remembers him from Team Canada. Akil Thomas, that was another guy who I think scored, was it 3 or 4 years ago? He
Yeah, the
scored
game
the
winner.
game winner for Team Canada. So those are some guys that I'm really looking at, but for much more than $1, I can't really see the investability of players like that.
Yeah, I mean those guys will be. I mean, opening day, people will be asking $5 for commons. That's usually what
Yeah.
happens, 3, 4, $5. But 3 years down the road, they're gonna be sitting in your dollar bin, in the two
Oh yeah.
dollar bins. You know what I mean? So it's like
Yeah.
it's just not, something that I look at and say, yeah, that's investable. Matt Rempe's a really interesting player though, because I have a feeling that Matt Rempe is going to be really expensive out of the gate. And you were telling me yesterday that you kind of fired that checklist out into a group of buddies of yours, and Rempe was like the guy that people were excited to collect. Correct?
Yeah, I mean, even it was kind of a surprise considering all the good names on this list. Wallstead, Stankoven, Gauthier, Lane Hudson, and I send the entire list, and these guys are like, "Damn, need that Matt Rempe," or "Can't wait to put a Matt Rempe in my collection." And I'm like, is that what people are gonna do when they open up these boxes? Like, is the Matt Rempe high gloss gonna be the top chase of this product just for the memes? I know I personally want a young gun, but it's not really gonna be the card that makes me, all giddy when I pull it.
Well, you're not gonna. Here's what it is. You're gonna be happy to sell this card. I would not.
Yeah.
I would not be happy to buy a Matt Rempe. I think that's the way. Because I do believe it. Like again, hype drives the hobby. There's a lot of hype with Rempe because he's the Rempire State Building. He made a name for himself. Similarly to like Arbor Jackeye when he came out last year, his young guns was going pretty expensive, and it's like this really isn't a good player. Why is he going
No.
for so much? But it's like it's the right market, right? Jackeye was Montreal, Rempe's in New York, right? And
Yeah.
he's a likable character in the NHL. He's got fans, and just guys want to collect him for whatever reason. So although Matt Rempe is not a player that I expect to really have like a long, prosperous NHL career, his card prices, I would imagine on release day will be decently expensive. I think that a lot of people are going to be going out there trying to pick up Matt Rempe, and supply and demand, is going to maybe turn it into what, like a 20-ish dollar young guns off
Oh,
the
yeah.
hop.
Yeah.
But like you can go and pick up any other fighter, I guess, who plays 5 minutes a night, which is what Rempe averaged last year, had 1 goal in 17 games, and you can find those all day long in the dollar bin. But for some reason, because it's Rempe and there's hype behind him, it's going to put a bit of a tax on his cards. So again, not something that I'd be happy to buy, but man, I'm going to be happy to pull it because I know that there's going to be a premium on that card, and I'm going to be happy to sell it and sell it
Oh, for sure.
as quick as possible.
Yeah. Yeah.
Any other names that Jesper Wallstedt actually is the one name that we kind of differed on. You feel that Wallstedt might be a tier above, could be considered kind of an A-level prospect when it comes to investing or collecting within the young guns of this set. Change my mind. Like I don't believe so, but I need you to change my mind and make the case for it.
Well, I think if you're gonna put Wallstead in the conversation as the elite tier of the product, he kind of needs to be over that $40 to $50 range, because I feel like that's what some of these players are gonna start to balance out at. Like I can't imagine Cutter Gauthier going for less than 40-50 bucks, because that's the price that Logan Cooley settled down to. So there is an argument. I can't really see Wallstead cooling down at a $40-50 price point, but considering some of the other goaltenders in the league that are prospects, like what's his first, Askarov? I don't know why I just drew a blank.
Askarov, yeah.
Uh, As-
Yaroslav.
yeah, Yaroslav Askarov going for around $20, even $40 at his peak, really. Who isn't even really a full-time NHL goaltender, obviously just getting sent down to the minors last week, but still one of the better chases from that product. So I feel like for Jesper Wallstedt, if his hype could kind of live up to his market, there could be room for him to grow. But as of right now, I'd put him really on the fence. So it is a good argument. At first, I was a little bit more confident about saying, how can you not put Wallstedt in that conversation? But when you put him in the tiers of some of the better goaltenders in the league of prospects, Dustin Wolf, Askarov, Devin Levi, who are kind of in that $10 to $15 price point, I feel like Jesper Wallstedt will really find himself in that same range and ultimately not really being an A tier young gun
Uh,
to this set.
so you slept on it. You slept on
Yeah,
it.
I slept,
Yesterday
but
when we were talking about it, there was contention, and you were like,
yeah,
"No, I think he's definitely a 1A." I'm like, "I don't." Like for me, it's just goalies don't get a lot of hobby love, like
that's the thing.
defensemen and goalies. Like that's just the way it is. I mean, you can go pick up a Thatcher Demko Young Guns right now for $25-$30. Like I
Yeah.
don't think Wallstat's going to be more than a Thatcher Demko Young Guns. Do you?
No, no,
No, so,
no.
like, you can't put them in the Cutter Gauthier range where you're talking, cards that when they first come out are probably going to be, like you said, 80, $75, and
Yeah.
maybe it settles in around 40 to 50, but, I don't think Wallstat's gonna be in that category at all. Is there any other names here that kind of I don't know, speaks to you that you wanna talk about? Anyone that I have ranked a little high that you think I need to speak for?
I think Brennan Othman's ranked a little high, but rightfully so. I was all over this guy's Team Canada cards 2 years ago. I was buying them up. I think I have like two or three left kind of hanging around. No idea where they are, but they're somewhere. He's a great player. Used to be Shane Wright's line mate when he played for the Don
Yep.
Mill Flyers in junior hockey. And rightfully so, he's ranked a little higher because he's a goal scorer. And we've had that conversation. What sells in the hobby? Goal scorers. And we look at Dylan Guenther right now. He's
Goal
scoring
score
goals. His
goal
prices are going up.
scorer goal scorer and plays for the New York Rangers. So it's it's
Yeah.
it's 2 check marks, right? 2 check marks. And it's,
Yeah.
when we're talking about investability, there's kind of that checklist of things that we like to see. Goal scoring, the ability to produce and put up points and put up offense. Goals is definitely a plus. And then do they play in the right market where there's going to be, collectability aspects? The New York Rangers, that's the right market. So there's
Yeah.
a couple of check marks there for why I think that he will be a collectible player. Plus, like first round pick a couple of years ago, and last year in the American League, he spent the year in the minors. 21 goals, 49 points through 67 games. So, prove that he can play in the pros at the very least, and he's got a little bit of an edge to him. Like he's not, a small guy. Like he's not a big dude, I guess, but like ended up with six hits in 3 games last year. He had 65 PIMs in 67 games last season as well. So he's not a terribly small guy. So I think that there's also a little edge to him, which people are gonna like in New York. So those are the top chase young guns that are out there. The whole list. I guess we can quickly share what the whole list is So we're taking a look. Zach Bolduc of St. Louis, Jesper Wallstad of Minnesota, Landon Slaggert of Chicago, Kyle McLaren, the Islanders, Mason Morelli of the Golden Knights, Brennan Othman from the Rangers, Gavin Brindley from the Blue Jackets, Bradley Nadeau of the Carolina Hurricanes, Zach Ostapchuk of the Ottawa Senators, Jason Poland, the Avs, Shakir Makmadulin, Cutter Gauthier, Zach Dean, Luca Del Bell Baluz of the Blue Jackets, Maverick Bork, Matt Rempe, Matt Villalta, Maxwell Crozier, James Malatesta, Ivan Fedotov, Ethan Del Mastro, Justin Brazeau, your boy from the Bruins. Big dude,
Sure.
big boy. Almost scored last night, actually. Colin Graff of the Sharks, Graham Clark, Scott Morrow, Brendan Brisson, Frank Nazar, Brad Lambert, Lane Hudson, Perik Dubé, Arshdeep Baines, Ruslan, Iskakov, Josh Doan, Jack St. Ivy, Jan Kuznetsov, Olin Zellweger, Marshall Refi of the Toronto Maple Leafs, Cameron Crotty, Logan Mayu, Sam Colangelo, Emil Lilleberg, Akil Thomas, Marek Kuznetsov, Logan Stankova, Nikita Chibrikov, Josh Wag, Gage Goncalves, Liam Ogren, Lucas Cormier, and then Cutter Gauthier and Logan Stankoven is the Young Guns checklist, which makes sense. Those are the two top chases that we're looking at
Nice.
when it comes to the 2024-25 Series 1 Young Guns class. So overall, I think it's a decent class in terms of there being, a lot of like good players, but I don't think there's like high end talent. Like if we're grading out, I don't know how many A grade young guns there are. Like I think Baby Cutter Gauthier is the only one I give an A grade to be honest with you. Like an A minus at that. And then we got, a couple B pluses and probably a lot of B minus C plus level players. So like there's I'm trying to think of how I would explain it. There's a lot of like solid NHLers, but I don't think there's a lot of like stars in this product. I think
Yeah.
there'll be a lot of guys who sell like from $5 to $10, but no one's going like I don't see a lot of guys who are going to break out and be like, that $60 to $100 raw Young Guns price Canadian.
Yeah, like the product's gonna sell. It's gonna be a good, relatively good box to rip too. There's a lot of good players in this set, but there's no one like you said that's really that A plus tier like standout. And it feels like we haven't really seen that since Bedard, and it's not going to be until series 2 that we see Celebrini, and then maybe even extended that we see Mitchkov, where they do
Yeah,
that little fool around that they did with Logan Cooley, Bedard splitting
yeah,
them up like
true.
that. So we'll see. But yeah, I feel like this is gonna be a pretty good box to rip. And shout out Upper Deck for making it an above average checklist, if we want to call that, because there's still good players, but not really any players that you're gonna pull, and it's gonna make your case.
Yeah, absolutely. So that's what the Young Guns looks like. The checklist. We'll go in through a little bit more detail what the set looks like next week on next week's show because it is going to be a release day on that day. So be sure to tune in next week for that. I am curious though. Actually, did you want to? Did you want to do the one touch top load penny sleeve kind of thing? Did you want to do that? You
We can
make a
fly
decision
through
there.
it, yeah. We can fly through it.
Okay, so let's pull these up again. Actually, we had a little a fun game, I guess, that we were thinking about playing with the. Whoops, I pulled up the wrong one. Did I delete it? No, here it is. There we go. So we were thinking about playing like a segment kind of thing, which we oh, geez, what is going on here? There we
We're
go.
good. We're good.
We still can. So everyone's familiar with the game. Basically, F Mary Kill. It's basically a ranking system of first, second, third. What would you rather have? And we thought it'd be fun to put it in kind of hobby terms, and it'd be: would you put this card in a one touch, in a top loader, or a penny sleeve? So we could do it literally starting with the top row: Cutter Gauthier, Logan Stankoven, Lane Hudson. One touch top load penny sleeve. Who's going and what?
I think for me, it's got to be you got to one touch Lane Hudson. That market in Montreal, you have to.
Really? You're one touching
Yeah.
Lane over Cutter?
Yep. Cutter's a good player, but I'll still top load him. And then I'm going to penny sleeve Logan Stankoven. It's a tough conversation, but hey, decisions need to be made. I feel like I could have that whole list kind of backwards, and Lane Hudson might even just be a couple bucks if he really doesn't pan out. But right now, I'm one touching Lane Hudson. I'm top loading Cutter Gauthier, and I'm penny sleeving Logan Stankoven.
Yeah, I'm there's no chance I'm like Cutter Gauthier is getting the one touch for me. I think he's
Hmm.
definitely the chase of the product, and he'll be the most desired and will be the most expensive card, I would imagine, through Series One, and then it's really between Logan Stankoven and Lane Hudson. I think your point is well taken that I think he could be someone who has there's more of a market for Lane Hudson. So maybe I'll top load Hudson and then penny sleeve Stankoven for that reason. But I think Goche for sure is going to be the top chase. This kid's going to be unbelievable. Like he's
Yeah.
going to put up points. Like, I don't know if you're shortchanging him or what,
Hmm.
but he is going to be a stud in the NHL. This Cutter Goche fella. So I'm excited to see what he can do. All right, let's move on to the second kind of tier of guys. So we're looking at Matt Rempe, Josh Doan, and Jesper Wallstedt. One touch, top load, penny sleeve. How you breaking it down?
Ooh, as of right now, I think I'd probably have to one touch Jesper Wallstedt, probably one of the best goaltender prospects in the league, like we talked about. This is a tough one here. I'm probably gonna top load Josh Doan because he is the more talented player. Rempe is gonna be so expensive and popular right out of the gate. Everyone's gonna want to get one for their collection, but I'm gonna have to penny sleeve him. Maybe I guess you could say one touch Matt Rempe because he might be the most expensive card right out of the gate. But long term and looking down the road, even just by 3-4 months, I don't think Rempe is going to be even close to any of these guys in price.
Yeah, I'm with you. I think you're one touching wall stat. You're tossing Doan in a top load, and you're gonna penny sleeve Rempe. I mean, maybe opening day for going to a show, you throw that in a top
Yeah.
loader, but yeah, I think it won't take a long time for you to realize, you know what, I should probably get Doan in a top load over Rempe. Maybe again that maybe is in a month or two after release, but yeah, down the road, certainly, I think Doan
Yeah.
sells more than Matt Rempe. All right, I guess. Well, we could do the other three in this same group: Brendan Othman, Josh Waugh, Maverick Bork.
Oof. This is kind of a tough one too. I'd probably one touch Othman, goal scorer. I've been collecting him for a little bit. Have a couple of his cards, so I'm one touching Othman. Probably going to top load Maverick Bork. He's been pretty successful last season in the AHL, and I guess even though it's such a it's always the top load or the penny sleeve. I'm probably gonna penny sleeve Joshua Waugh, but it is a little closer than you think. But Othman by a long shot is my one touch.
That's funny. I'm the complete opposite.
Really? Huh.
Yeah, I'm throwing Josh Waugh in a one touch, and
Okay.
then top loading Maverick Bork, and I'm gonna put Brendan Othman in a penny sleeve. Um, I, I just think that Josh Waugh is probably like again the Montreal Canadiens factor, and he played for Team Canada. He was a great player for Team Canada. So I think there's going to be a lot of collectors out there that are going to want Josh Waugh. He's a recognizable name, especially right off the hop. So I think Josh Waugh probably top load, and then Maverick Bork, or Josh Waugh one touch, Maverick Bork throwing in a top loader, and then penny sleeving Brendan Othman. I do think that
Yeah.
would be the case. All right, we'll leave it up to interpretation here. You've got eight names here to choose. Who are you one touching, top loading, and then who would you say is kind of the worst of the eight who would get your penny sleeve here
Hmm.
in the third
Probably,
category?
yeah, probably have to go with. I got a one touch Zellweger. Still high on him. Top load Logan Mayhew. He's a really good player. And probably like Lambert. Probably Chibrikov. Out of the eight, I'd say is probably in the lowest tier. So one touch Zellweger, top load Logan Mayhew, and then toss Chibrikov in a penny sleeve. But it is, it is a tough pair. I do like Brad Lambert too. Him and Logan Mayhew for that are kind of tight.
Yeah, I want to check and see because I thought I saw. Actually, not the case. I thought maybe. I think I'm probably going to start with the penny sleeve. Probably gonna
Mm,
penny sleeve Bradley Nadeau.
okay.
I'm just looking right now. Unless he's hurt, which I don't believe he is. He didn't even make the team in Carolina, so he's not even. Maybe Bradley Nadeau should be should be in the everyone else category. That I'm thinking.
Ooh.
I just remember he's a first round pick, and I saw a poster about a month ago, and Bradley
Mm,
Nadeau was like, it was an upper deck poster. Maybe I could find a picture because I definitely took a picture of it, and I was like,
yeah.
that's a weird player for them to be advertising, but they were
Yeah.
advertising him as like a big chase in the 24-25 class. So
Hmm.
that was kind of why I was like, all right, I'll put him in this category, but he didn't even make the team at a camp, so that's not a good thing.
Yeah.
So I guess Bradley Nadeau, I'll one touch, or sorry, I will penny sleeve.
Penny sleeve.
I'll one touch Zellweger with you, I think, and
Yeah.
then Frank Nazar. I think I'll toss in a top loader.
Okay.
Chicago. If he's playing with Bedard at some point, I think that he has an opportunity to put up some points. So I'll go with Frank Nazar for the top load.
Nice. Yeah,
Cool.
fun little topic there. Even too, I was gonna touch up on Maverick Bork and say all these Dallas Stars prospects, I don't know what it is, but year after year, player after player, they always draft well. Like Wyatt Johnson, Thomas Hart, like there's just all kinds of players coming out of Dallas that I'm gonna have my eye on. And I feel like going forward for these next couple sets, it's like every player that comes out of Dallas or drafted by Dallas, you need to keep your eye on. So Maverick
Yeah.
Bork, another sleeper out of this set, another sleeper.
Yeah. No, I like Maverick Pork a lot. I do. I really, really do. All right. So some hobby news to get to a little bit, I suppose. Um, oh well, actually, that was technically part of our hobby news. So there's not really much hobby news to get into. Actually, did you see that
Well, the Fantilli.
the Fantilli 101 Gold Outburst was found in ePack? Is this good, bad, or indifferent for the hobby, Anth?
I think it's bad. It was the first thing I thought about too when I saw it pulled on ePack. I was saying to myself, like, what? Half of the collectors out there don't really use ePack. I personally don't use it. I've never used it. I think I signed up for it once just to kind of get into it, but then I ended up just changing my mind. But the
Yeah,
good old days of being in a box, in a pack, ready for you to be pulled and opened up is the full excitement of being in the hobby. I don't really think that the one of one being in an e-pack is the right thing to do. Like, just imagine the Connor Bedard Young Guns. One of one was always in e-pack, and all these people are going crazy for boxes. I just
the
like,
draft day was an ePack. His draft day, 1 of 1 gold was an ePack.
was it
It
really?
was pulled in ePack. Yeah.
What? Like,
I'm pretty sure. I'm pretty sure it was.
I
Not the young guns, although we still don't know. It hasn't been found yet.
yeah,
So maybe it
apparently.
is
I don't
somewhere in
know.
EPAC, but I don't know. But yeah, the draft day one was found in EPAC.
Wow. That's
Yeah.
crazy. That's crazy.
I don't like it because like EPAC comes out like 6 weeks or a month
Later.
or so after,
Yeah.
yeah, like, after release, like, maybe even a couple months after release, and that's why I don't like it, just because, like, it's almost scummy to believe that the 1 of 1 gold outburst is in one of these packs, and you're having people go on a frenzy to try and find it, chase it, buy all these boxes, buy your product, and then it's not in there. Instead, you're holding on to it and then just releasing it in an e-pack without telling people. Like I just think it's pretty scummy, to be honest. I don't like it at all. ePack has its place, but I don't think there should be these monster
Mhm.
cards on ePack. I think
Yeah.
for the achievements that you can get for collecting multiples and getting your foil cards and your glossy cards or whatever you want to do. All right, I get that. I can see that aspect of why ePack has its place, but the monster cards in the set, like that's the card out of
Yeah.
extended, right? The 101 Fantilli Outburst
Yeah.
Gold, young, like that's the best card. The fact that it wasn't put out is just ridiculous to me, to be quite honest. So I don't like it at all. I don't think it's good for the hobby. I don't think it's fair for hobbyists either, who go out there on release day, buy up all these boxes, hoping to find that one of one Fantilli, and it was never available or never there to begin with, right? Like there should be a bit more transparency when it comes to this. If you're going to be charging what's up to what, $160
Oh
now
yeah.
for a box of flagship, like
Oh
it's no
yeah.
longer an $80 product. Like it was $80 15 years ago, 10 years ago. It's no longer that cheap. Now it's quite expensive. Series 2 obviously was up to $300-$400 a box, which whatever, the Bedard tax is a little different, but I'm not a fan. I do not like it one bit. I don't know if it changes though. I really don't know if it changes.
Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, that was an interesting little piece of news. Did you see also that Upper Deck apparently is suing an employee for stealing like
Saw that.
five
I
five
saw
hundred
that.
thousand dollars worth of redemptions and cards and whatnot? Just that's kind of insane to think that, lots of redemptions and big
Yeah.
hits that are supposed to be out in the products are in
Guy's basement,
some
maybe.
guy's basement, like just chilling. Like, I don't know. Maybe the 101's in there.
Hey, could be. Could be.
All right. That's it for hobby news. It's time for some show and tell. And we both went to a show. No, did you end up going to a show this
No.
weekend?
Nope.
No.
Didn't go. Just you,
You,
man. Hey, you
yeah.
got the whole stage here.
So I set up at the show in Richmond Hill. It was a decent show. I think that there was a decent crowd. It did coincide with the Montreal Expo, so I think a lot of big hitters weren't there. But I sold some stuff and then I bought some stuff. It's funny. Every time you go to a show, you come home, and if you set up right, you count your money. You count, all right, how did I do? How much money did I make? And then how much money did I spend? I ended up being a net $25 plus $25 that day after
Hey, that's all right.
everything I
That's all
sold and then everything that I bought and purchased. But that's what it's all about. Like that's how the hobby is so healthy, because guys continue to just filter money back into the hobby. Like it's just a cycle, right? And very rarely are people pulling it out. It keeps going back into the hobby, and that's kind of why I think that hockey is a special hobby compared to some of the others, because there's a lot of collectors who do that. So here are the pickups that I had. Ukko-Pekka Luukkonen, SP Authentic Autos. Really dumb looking autograph, by the way. Not a fan of Ukko-Pekka
super weird.
Luukkonen's auto, but he's a good player. I do think that Ukko-Pekka Luukkonen is a really good goaltender. So I picked up this Bo Horvat Young Guns, and it's absolutely beat to crap. I don't know if you can see like the corner, even worse corner there. It basically was a throw-in a deal, to be honest with you. But I'll tell you what my plan is. So my personal collection, like what I PC, one of what I PC, I want to have a Young Guns of every single player who has ever played the game that has had a Young Guns produced, talking all the way back from 1990 until the current date. That is my collecting goal. It's just what I want to do. And so far I've made a decent dent in that. Still a lot of cards that I need, but I made a decent dent.
Nice.
So I don't necessarily need to have the best looking cards, I guess you could say. So what I am going to do is I got this. We'll say I paid $5 for it essentially. I'm going to swap it out with my much better conditioned Bo Horvat card and put this in the binder in the collection, make it a binder card, and then I could use the other Horvat to kind of move and sell. So
Yeah.
I think that's why I got that terribly conditioned Bo Horvat Young Guns. Also picked up a Matty Nyes Young Guns as well. I think Matthew Nye is going to have a big year next to Austin Matthews and Mitch Marner. Leafs Habs tonight to start things off also.
Oh yeah.
Picked up a couple of Jake Sanderson too. This is from Stature Rookie Auto, Wonderkind Rookie Auto. Had a Stature. Whoops.
Nice.
Probably
On card.
yeah.
Looks
Yeah,
like
yeah,
it.
Stature. Yeah, Stature's on card. Yes, yes, it was. And then there was another Jake Sanderson too, but this one was from Ice. Another Ice rookie
Nice.
Sanderson. Yeah, rookie
Yeah.
auto. Picked up a Patrick Laine Hot Prospects rookie auto.
Ooh, Imagine
Much
having that
cheaper.
like a month ago.
Well, much cheaper this weekend than it was a month ago. I could tell you that. And then hopefully he comes back and he's healthy in a couple of months, starts lighting it up with the Habs, and there you go. We can move that again at some point. Speaking of the
Yep.
Habs, picked up an Owen Beck rookie
Hey,
auto, sparkling scripts from Black Diamond. Nice little cheap, rookie auto there.
beauty.
We'll save that one. Another Black Diamond rookie auto, a Tyson Forster, number to 99. Kind of a crap auto also on Tyson Forster. But I like Tyson Forster. I think he's a good player. Dylan Cousins, UD Premier rookie auto on card for Dylan Cousins,
Solid.
who I think can have a bounce back season this year in the market. Well, Seth Jarvis jersey auto from SP Game Used, and I believe it is a game used piece of memorabilia.
Yeah.
Yes, has been used in an official NHL game. So
There
not
you go.
player worn, not event worn. It's actually a game used card for Seth Jarvis, a guy who I think will have a monstrous year. Got paid a lot of money this summer.
Oh yeah.
And this is your favorite card. I can tell already this is going to be your favorite pickup of mine from the weekend. It's your boy, the Boosh Bomb. Evan
Hey,
Bouchard,
Boosh Bomb. There we go.
Ultimate Rookie Auto, number to 299 from Ultimate Collection. On card, it's a beautiful autograph. So I picked those up as well. Very, very nice pickup. And then what did I do with the... Picked up a few graded cards as well. Got 2 PSA 10 Elias Petterssons. You guys know that I have been big on Pettersson. I think he's going to have a bounce back year. And if you can get Pettersson, 150, 160 bucks, worth the pickup. I think it goes up. And I also got a Cole Caulfield PSA 9 Young Guns as well. So the one deal I do got to give a shout out because he's a listener to the pod, and I told him I would shout him out for it. His name is Andy. So shout out to Andy. Thank you for the deal. It was a Pettersson 10, Caulfield 9, and then it got the Matthew Nyes as well. We went back and forth a little bit, and ultimately we made a deal that made us both very, very happy. And he said, "Can I get a shout out on the pod at least?" I said, "Absolutely." So Andy, thank you for the deal. Happy with the cards. So those were the pickups that I made at the show over the weekend.
Beauty.
Yeah. Yep. I just like there's one show in Cambridge this weekend, by the way. There's a show Sunday in Cambridge. Might consider that. Might consider, depending on what my family's plan is for Thanksgiving, actually. I don't know what time. I know we're doing our dinner on Sunday. I just don't know what time. Typically, my mom, I don't know if your mom likes to do this, but she likes to make it like a late lunch as opposed to a dinner when it comes to Thanksgiving. She's like, yeah, I like to eat. She likes to eat at like 3:00 in the afternoon for Thanksgiving.
That's all right.
Well, if that's the
It's
case,
supposed to be a chill day.
I'm just saying, if that's the case, I won't be able to do the card show. So it's upsetting.
Hey, don't forget Monday.
Monday, yes.
Collecticon.
Yeah, Hamilton show, the Collecticon on Monday. They have a show every holiday Monday. So the Collecticon for sure. I will be there. I'm sure you will be there, and many other great collectors and stuff will be at the show.
Yep.
All right. Think that'll do it for us today. Got anything else you want to shout out before we take off?
That's it, man. Hey, shout out the start of the NHL season. Game, or I guess night 2, technically in North America, if you want to call it that. But fantasy's off to a start. Cards are starting to get rolling. Seeing Guenther last night get 2, and super pain. I had Guenther to score a hat trick, and I was really waiting to wake up and see my bet slip pay for the rest of the weekend. But unfortunately, it did not.
No,
but hey,
no.
NHL's here, and it's in full swing, so enjoy it.
Absolutely. Full swing, and the card market is flourishing and will continue to erupt all the way through until the Stanley Cup is awarded. As we know, it's a stock market. It's a fun stock to play. All right, that'll do it for us here today on the podcast. I'd like to thank you all for listening and supporting the show. You could subscribe right here on YouTube, and also for you on the go listeners, this show is free and available on Spotify as well. Just search up Hockey Card Haven podcast and you'll find it. Subscribe. That'd be greatly appreciated. Let us know down below. Who are you picking up this year? Let us know in the comments section or reach out to us on Instagram. I'm at AB Cards, Anthony at Sports Cards GTA. You can reach out to us and let us know your thoughts on the hobby this upcoming season. We'll be back with another episode for you guys next Wednesday. It'll be Series 1 release day, so a full breakdown of the product. Maybe I'll have a box. We'll see if I can get out and get one early or not. We'll have to. That'll be a TBD, but we'll definitely be breaking down the product next Wednesday. You've been listening to the Hockey Card Haven podcast.